Welcome to the AI for Career Success podcast by Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition.
And I'm Daphne. Welcome to episode 139.
I'm Fred, and I'm ready to get into some pretty high-stakes policy analysis today.
We are. Today we're focusing on an article from our producer, Curt Robbins. It's called Trump's AI Executive Order, National Framework for Innovation. And it was published on LinkedIn December 12th, 2025.
And this is a really important one because, for the past few years, the whole debate around AI has been so focused on ethics, on bias, on these big, almost philosophical questions.
Right, the long-term existential risks.
Exactly. But this new executive order, or EO, it just pivots the whole conversation.
It really does. It's shifting the focus away from the theoretical and, well, squarely, onto two very immediate battles.
Resolving regulatory chaos at home and securing geopolitical dominance abroad.
The administration is basically saying, let's stop arguing about whether AI is good or bad and start focusing on who gets to build it, how fast, and whose values get coded into it.
It's all about accelerating American competitiveness. Pure strategy.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's start with that first piece, which is what the administration seems to see as the most immediate threat. Just the regulatory mess happening right here in the U.S.
Yes. The main driver behind this order is simply internal friction. The American innovation scene is being fractured by all these conflicting state-level AI regulations.
So if you're working in AI development, sales, whatever, trying to scale a service across the country must be an absolute nightmare.
It's a legal headache. And it's not a potential problem, it's happening right now. The source material notes that nearly a dozen states already have their own AI laws.
We're talking big tech hubs, too, like California, Colorado, Illinois.
And Maryland, Montana, Oregon, Tennessee, Utah, the list goes on.
And that's just what's already on the books.
Exactly. Beyond that, there are more than a thousand separate AI-related bills moving through state legislatures right now.
Wow. 1,000 different, probably conflicting rules across 50 states.
It's less of a legal framework and more of a national minefield for innovators.
Right. How can any company, especially a startup, navigate that?
Right.
You'd spend all your money on lawyers, not engineers.
And that's the core threat. One official in the article said this environment could potentially cripple the industry.
Which brings us to the solution the EO is pushing for.
Centralization. The whole point is to establish a single national framework, a federal standard to replace that confusing state-by-state patchwork.
It's not just about being tidy, it's about speed.
Yeah, it's all about speed. You need that predictability to get investment and to have, rapid development cycles.
I think presidential AI advisor David Sachs put it pretty bluntly.
He did. He said, you've got 50 states running in 50 different directions. It just doesn't make sense. What we need is a single federal standard.
So how do they enforce that? I mean, the administration can't just wish it into being.
No, and the EO has teeth. It sets up an AI litigation task force, and crucially, it uses agency funding restrictions.
Okay, so the task force is basically a legal team to defend the federal standard against conflicting state laws.
It's a legal buffer for companies, but the funding restrictions are the real lever of power.
Ah, so you tie federal money for research or infrastructure to a state adopting the national framework.
That's it. You use the power of the federal purse to encourage everyone to get on the same page.
And the industry seems to be behind this.
Well, the CEO of the National Artificial Intelligence Association, Caleb Max, said it ensures ideological neutrality, protects free speech, and facilitates more predictable growth.
In other words, it protects innovation from getting bogged down in local politics.
Exactly. The goal is to clear the playing field for speed. And for you, the professional, that means when the path is clear, development speeds up, investment flows in, and the demand for talent just explodes.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the playbook they're using to get this done is, well, it's not new.
No, it's almost 30 years old. You're talking about the parallel to the birth of the internet.
Exactly. The source draws a straight line from this AI order back to the light touch regulatory approach from the 1990s.
The idea being that the reason the American tech sector boomed and, came to dominate the world was that the government decided not to impose heavy regulations on the early internet.
They prioritized growth first. Market entry, flexibility, massive investment, all over strict upfront compliance rules.
And the political irony here is pretty fascinating.
That this light touch policy they're championing now was actually put in place by the Democratic Bill Clinton administration.
It really suggests there's this rare kind of bipartisan consensus when it comes to the basic principles of American tech dominance. To win globally, you have to get out of your own way at home.
But is that a fair comparison? I mean, the 90s internet was a brand new frontier. AI today is already so powerful, so pervasive. Can you really apply the same light touch?
That's the big question. And it seems the administration is making a calculated risk. They're betting that the geopolitical need to outpace Europe and China is more important than the immediate domestic risks of light regulation.
So the regulatory vacuum is a feature, not a bug. It's designed for maximum speed.
And you see that bet clearly when you contrast it with the European Union's approach, which the article calls heavy-handed.
Right, and they're using some big numbers to justify it. I believe it was Senator Ted Cruz who pointed out that today America's economy is more than 50% larger than Europe's, and the drivers are tech and the shale revolution.
The implication is direct. Your regulatory philosophy determines your economic power, and they want to make American AI the next great engine of growth.
So for you, the professional, this is the environment they're building. A protective barrier so American AI companies can move fast and dominate globally.
Faster growth means faster hiring and, well, more opportunities for your career to accelerate.
Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Curt Robbins.
Hi, this is Curt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the AI for Career Success podcast.
Okay, so if we connect all this domestic strategy to the bigger picture, it becomes clear what the main event really is.
The high-stakes geopolitical race against China.
This isn't just about market share, is it? The EO frames this as a critical competition for AI supremacy.
And that's because it's fundamentally a race of values. The argument is that whoever wins at AI gets to export their core ideology with every algorithm that gets deployed around the world.
So it's American values of liberty and free speech versus
China's values of surveillance and centralized control. The article makes it clear that the stakes are huge. The outcome of this race could define the technological value system for the rest of the century.
And to compete against a unified, centrally controlled nation like China, you can't have 50 different states running in 50 different directions. That domestic chaos is a global vulnerability.
Precisely. The EO is seen as the tool to create that domestic unity, to present a strong, unified, pro-innovation front to the world.
And the commitment seems to be coming from the very top. President Trump is described as being explicitly pro-AI, wanting the U.S. to be the undisputed world leader.
And he's backing that up with some massive infrastructure goals.
The one that really stands out is the goal to have more data centers in the U.S. than in China.
That is an enormous commitment. I mean, data centers are the actual physical foundation of AI.
It's not just a talking point. It's a multi-billion-dollar mandate for hardware, power grids, construction.
And that kind of mandate sends a signal that ripples through the entire ecosystem. If you work in data architecture, logistics, software development, the demand signal is clear. The government is treating the AI race as a top priority that requires massive investment.
So what does this all mean? Let's try to bring these pieces together.
Well, ultimately, this executive order is a really calculated strategic bet. It's a pivot from a defensive, ethical posture to a very aggressive economic and geopolitical offense.
First, centralized regulation to clear a path for innovation.
Then use that 90s light touch playbook to fuel an economic boom.
And most critically, use that unity and speed to win the geopolitical race of values against China. It's all about cementing America's competitive advantage.
And that speed to market is the key takeaway for professionals. When the government actively removes friction, it accelerates everything.
Development cycles, capital investment.
And, most importantly for you, the demand for high-skilled talent.
So here's the final thought for you to consider. Thinking about that chaos the EO wants to solve, the 50 states running in different directions. How does a unified federal framework change the specific AI tools and projects you are currently working on? And does this acceleration, this speed to market, ultimately benefit your career growth, making the U.S. the most attractive place to build a career in AI?
That's what you need to be thinking about.
Thank you for listening to the AI for Career Success podcast from Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next time.